FGFRC coming to you from the man cave. Big shout out before we get started with building this FMS PC-21 Pilatus. Big shout out to HOBBYZONE for sending me out this FMS product for review. Thank you so much, HOBBYZONE. I do appreciate it. Now, we're going to start the build. I've already done the unboxing. I did tell you a lie in the unboxing. I said all you're going to need is a 2mm hex drive tool to put the metal together. I was wrong. After reviewing and remembering, there are 4 small flat-headed little black screws that have a flat head that are Phillips, and that's what we're going to use to put on our horizontal stabilizer, otherwise known as elevator. Okay, we're going to, instructions say start with that. You're going to take your spar that comes with it. You'll see a little hole that spar slides through. Your screws go in from the top. Now, anytime you're taking one of these foam pieces and you slide them in, and it's kind of got a pressure fit, take your foam and just kind of squeeze it just a little bit. Where it's bare foam, where the foam corner is, just kind of squeeze it a little bit with your finger. Okay, just kind of, just ever so a little bit. Okay, and I'll explain to you why in just a moment. Take the other one as I drop everything, and just squeeze, just kind of squeeze the edges, just a little bit. Okay, just a touch. Just kind of make it, kind of smooth that out just a little bit as I drop the instructions and everything. All right, and the reason is because this hard plastic channel this is going to slide in is so tight that you'll be glad you did. It'll make your life a lot easier. So let's turn the model. Oh, by the way, these Ernst stands, love them. Absolutely love them. Make your life easier. If you don't have an Ernst stand, put it on a pillow. Sometimes putting on a pillow is now that just slides in there. Those holes line up. Okay. While I've got that part of the elevator lined up there, I'm going to go ahead and take one of my black small screws. I'm going to go ahead and sink that down. Now, anytime you're going to get a metal screw going into a hard plastic mounting, okay? Put your hand behind it or your fingers behind it to support that. You'll feel it hit bottom, and then back off just half a turn, because time and heat will expand a little bit. You'll be glad you did. You don't want it to break. You don't want it to strip out on you. But you never know. You may have to take this thing apart. So I'm going to do the other one real quick. And this is the part of the thing that makes these videos last so long or take so long. It's just you're just sitting there mundanely watching me screw these things in together. Now, a lot of channels will fast forward it, and then do like a audio overlay. Half turn off. I don't like to do that. I like to show you, if I can. Squeeze that real good, and anything that happens during the build. Oh, look, and the rudder is already hooked up for you. Find your little hole there, and it's countersunk. All right, line that up in there. Now, those keyed, both halves of that elevator are keyed together. Just kind of get it in there. You may have to finagle with it just a little bit. That's okay. Oh man, yeah, that fit together like a glove. And look at that, both sides of the rudder. Remember to work your hinges, work your hinges. All right, get my other 2 little, now this X-Fly and some of the other models are really good about giving you extra screws. Freewing and Skynetic are really good about giving you extra screws on everything. FMS, not so much. E-Flight, not so much. Sometimes you will get 1 or 2 extra screws, but for the most part, you get what you get. Okay? You get what you need. So don't lose them. All the way bottom out, and then half a turn off. Okay? So be careful. Before I finish that, buy these little magnetic trays. You can get them at Harbor Freight and other places, relatively cheap. Pick you up some. They make your life so much nicer. Such a big time saver. And when I say time saver, it's because you don't have to spend time trying to find that screw you lost, you know, because you just threw them down on your table and they went rolling, you know. And that screw is not wanting to line up for me. These are some of the things you come in. Look, get tools that are magnetic. Have magnetic tips. It does make your life easier. Okay. Remember, support the back side of the model where you're screwing in with your finger or whatever part of your hand you can get, if you can do that. Sometimes you can't. All the way bottomed out, and then back off half a turn. All right. That. Now, you do have one connection you do have to put, and that is your elevator control rod. You will have to put that on, but do not do that until you have bound your receiver, or you've taken a servo tester and if you have ensured that this servo is completely neutral already. Now, and that applies to any build. This is not a build, this is an assembly. To any assembly of RC planes. Anytime you're going to put a servo in, make sure it's centered first, or bind the model up and then make sure it's centered before you attach it. It just saves you a lot of headache and a lot of heartache otherwise. Now, next step, when you take the wing out, this little control board or connection board, quick connect board, is going to be bound up with a one little zip tie. I went ahead and I cut that off. It just makes things easier. Okay, what you have here loose is a gear pigtail, and that's going to hook up to the gear pigtail that's in here, and then it all gets fed through this connection board to a gear servo lead that's going to go into your receiver. This flat servo lead is going to go to your receiver, not going to go to the reflex. This aileron is going to go to the Y is connected, or the lead that's coming off the reflex, and then that lead will go to your receiver. But you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. All right, this next step is, of course, your wing. Big cavernous hole right here. Obvious. And it's just about the same diameter, and it just, that box just screams to go down through there. And that's what you do. That just fits in there ever so pretty. Make sure you don't have anything bound up. Nothing is. Okay, that box is wanting to. You want everything to fit flush. Okay? And that should fit in there like a glove. Now, this is where you're using your 2mm hex drive. Hey, you do get an extra bolt. Okay. One bolt is going to hold your spinner on. You get one extra wing bolt, and then you take your 4 regular wing bolts. They're all the same length. Let me make sure they're all the same length. I think they are. I'm almost positive that they are. They're all the same length. Let me just verify that real quick. They're all lined up side by side. Yes, they're all the same. All right, so you're going to need 4 of them. You get 6. 1 is extra. 1 holds the spinner onto the wing adapter, or the bolt or prop adapter. 4 go in the wing, and then you get an extra wing bolt. 2mm hex drive. Got these 4, and then you got these plastic doublers. Okay. We'll feel that connect. Feel it bottom out. And one thing you can look at, let me show you real quick. Let me get these in here. Remember, when you put them in, this is just me. I like to put, anytime I'm going to put a wing on or any multi-connection point, I'm going to crisscross my pattern, just like when you take a tire off a car. Where I put this one in, I'm going to put this one in over here, the screw in here. Okay. Feel it bottom out. Then I'm going to come down over here. Feel that bottom out. Then we'll go over here. So I went here, 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 and here. Now what I want to show you was, okay, that's in there nice and tight. That wing is on there. Okay. Anytime, see these hard plastic doublers here? Okay. How you can tell you're putting too much pressure and making it too tight, you'll see around the plastic, if you start seeing the foam starting to dent or pressure in, you'll see little cracks, you're going too tight. When you see that, if you get that far, you see that, back off just a touch. You should feel it bottom out. Okay, make sure I'm starting to see a crack now, so back off. Back off about half a turn. Crack, back off. Okay. Back off just a touch. All right, that wing's on there. All right. Basically now, the basic frame of the plane is together. Okay. XT60 connector. Okay. Just to give you an idea of what the plane looks like when she's all done. You'll have this has a kind of a octagon type shape. If you notice here on the prop adapter, it has an octagon shape, so it's very obvious that's just going to fit on there nice and tight. You're going to put on your prop. Okay. Remember, prop is always going to spin counterclockwise, so if you're looking at this side of the plane, that prop should be bladed out, or it should be where you could tell it would push air backwards. And another thing, this is only painted, the side that goes forward is only painted on the outside, the parts that you would see. So it's kind of a idiot-proof sort of thing. All right, put that on there. Hey, you do get an extra bolt. There's an extra bolt for the wing, for the tail there. It was stuck inside of that. So you do, they made a liar out of me. So you're gonna put that on there like that. I'm not putting this prop on permanently, I'm just to show you what it looks like. Okay, and then that would go like that. That fits in there. And then one of these screws will go in there and we'll attach in that hole right there. All right, but I'm got more to do, so I'm going to take the prop back off. Safety first. You don't want to have a prop on in the shop. Now, if you're testing something, just specifically your attention's on that, that's different. But anyways, that's the basic build. Let me take a short break here, and got to take a bio break. That happens. And we'll be right back. Finish this up. Let's get our radio and set up the gyro or the vector system and get all that up and ready for you. Okay? Be right back. Hey, we're continuing on. I want to try to show you a few things to continue on a little bit of some confusion. This bundle of wires here, as you can see, is coming out of the end of the reflex. Okay? Let them lay off to one side. Okay? You've got this 3 bundles of wire. They're coming directly out of that box. See? Pay attention to them. And then coming up from the wing, okay, is one single lead that says gear. Coming from the nose is another one from inside. It says gear. All right? Take that one. Pay attention to that yellow part. Look at here. See the yellow part there? You're going to connect those two and this locking clamp, and you're always going to connect light to light, dark to dark. So in this case, the yellow starts here and then goes all the way through to here. Light to light, dark to dark. Tuck that out of the way. That was your connection for your gear. Okay? Now, that leaves you with gear, aileron, and flap coming out of that little black box. Take your aileron, okay, and you're going to plug it in somewhere. Let me figure out where you're going. There should be a... Oh, that's right. Okay. You're going to plug that in. Well, hold on. There's something about this. We'll figure that out in just a second. I'm not perfect. Let's go ahead and take care of these. All right. You got out of that black box, that little black box, you've got gear and flap. Okay? Here's my receiver. They're going to plug in directly to your receiver. Okay? This is laid out very similar to a spectrum. Channel 1 is throttle. Channel 2 is aileron. Channel 3 is elevator, channel 4 is rudder, 5 is gear, 6 is flap. So take the one that's labeled flap, plug it into channel 6, yellow side up. In other words, you see the label on our spectrum receiver or most receivers, the label side is what's up. The light side on your receiver, your positive, is going to be up on the up side. Gear goes to channel 5. Okay. Plug that in, light side up, and then you're going to grab all of these. Okay. You're going to grab rudder, which would be next, light side up. Okay. You're going to grab your elevator, light side up. And I keep repeating that because that's such an important point. Otherwise, nothing will work if you do it the other way around. It's like reverse polarity. And then your aileron, like Captain Robert and them guys. Aileron, and then throttle goes into channel 1. Now, that's going to leave you this S-bus mode. Now, this particular receiver has a 7th channel, which is like channel 0 or channel 7. On the Lemon RX, they start with 7 and then go 1 through 6. So channel 7 is up here. And that's still going to be light side up. All right, let me pause the video for just a minute and figure out what I do with that aileron lead that's coming out. I think it plugs into the vector or the reflex somewhere. Let me figure out where that is. Hold on just a second. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, and it's going to take a little time for me to research. Let me pause. All right, I figured it out in the instructions. That aileron channel, okay, if you look on the Reflex, the aileron channel, which is right there, is open. That's going to plug in there. Now, in this situation, all the light side wires, or the yellow side, is going to go this way towards the main label of the Reflex Gyro. So I'm going to take it this way, and I'm going to feed it into Reflex. They obviously couldn't hook that up. You got to do that for them because of the, and they could have done a Y, but okay. Now, that loose wire that's coming out of the black box, out of that black box there that has said aileron, plugged into this channel aileron port. You can see it. It's hard to see in this camera, but it's right there. It says aileron. In other words, if you're looking at the plane this way, it's this very bottom open port here, and you slide that in with the light side this way. Now, this little wire here, I don't know. There's nothing in the instructions. I don't know what it does. The only thing I can think of is maybe it's part of a reverse function. I do not know. I can find nothing about it. But at this point, everything's plugged in the receiver. All the wires from the front are tucked away. We've addressed everything coming out of that little box. Out of that little box that comes out, the loose wires are taken care of. We're now ready to mount our receiver. Now, battery goes right here in the middle of the plane, so nothing goes forward. So I'm going to take this receiver. I got me some sticky tied side, and orientation is not an issue with this receiver. Okay, I'm going to mount it right up in here, just like that, right on the side of the plane. Okay, kind of gets my wires tucked and kind of get them kind of neat and out of the way. I'll probably zip tie these things together to make it nice and neat. I'm going to take my antenna and I'll get them 90 degrees from each other, but I'll clean all that up and zip tie everything together. And probably the ESC is just sitting there loose. I'll probably put some double-sided tape or Velcro on it to tighten it, to get it nice and anchored down. But that's how you're going to put your receiver. That's how you're going to hook your receiver up. Let's go over this again. You've got 3 wires that come out of that black box. Okay, one's flap, one's gear. Okay. You're going to hook them into your receiver. The single aileron that's coming out of that black box is going to go into the very first aileron port, bottom down here of this reflex, of this vector system. When I say reflex, I mean vector. I get the two confused, but this is the reflex. Okay, so that takes care of those 3. You're going to have a loose wire that says gear coming out from the wing, and a loose wire from the front that says gear. Hook those together. And then they're already, the other end is already mounted in the, you hook those together, and then that one that came out of the black box is what goes to your receiver. So now everything is now hooked up and should be functional. Now, it'd be a good time to bind the receiver. Now I've already got a battery charged. Okay. Let's go ahead, using an NX10, the Limit RX, our Spectrum protocol. So let me back up the camera, just physically move it back a little bit. So hold on just a second. Okay. Let's pause for just a second while I get the camera set up. You know, okay, I gotta go over here to pause. Give me just a moment. All right, continue on real quick. I now have the airplane bound to my receiver, everything, but remember I told you that you do not want to hook up your elevator or any servo until you have everything bound up and level. Well, I have that now. The instructions say to hook up the one control rod to the outermost hole on the elevator, and then on the outermost hole on the servo arm. Okay, that's what we're going to do. I just want to show you. Now, when you hook this up, okay, you get that in there, if it'll fit for me. See, now I just had it in there off camera. Now I didn't want to. Murphy's Law, right? Okay. Ow, that hurt. Now, if you put it down there and it's too long or it's too short, just grab a hold of the arm of your control rod and then screw this clevis in or out based upon the distance that you need. Now that looks like that is pretty much on there, pretty much on the money. So I can look on the end. No, it's pulling it up. Just doing it this way, just a touch. So it needs to come out some. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a hold. Otherwise, I got to make it a little bit longer to push it back. So I'm going to go just a few turns. I'm going to hook it right in there. Now, looking at the side, is that perfectly? A little touch more. I like to make sure that it's absolutely right. Okay. One more turn. Because yours might be, yeah, that's perfect there. Then you're going to clamp that down. Take that piece of fuel tube, slide that back over. Okay. And looky there. All right, now we've got plenty of connection. All right, let's pause there for just a second. All right, we're back with the radio setup and the finalization of the model. Now, I've got her bound up. I got everything going the way it's supposed to go. Okay. Let me just show you. I told you earlier where I was going to mount my receiver, and that's where I mounted it. You can see right there. Okay, I am going to leave the ESC kind of loose there because the way it's connected with the battery and the coming off the motor, it kind of just keeps itself in position. I ran one antenna straight, and I got one antenna poking out the side to put it at 90 degrees. Now, that's physically, I've also worked out the CG. If you go on the wooden tray, put your 3200, which is what I'm going to use 4S, and I got it hanging off the back of the wooden tray about maybe a ½ inch, and of course I have marked that with an S3200 for Spectrum. Now, if I got a bigger battery, like a 4000, I might go back even further. The book calls for it to be 90 to 95 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing, and that's where I've marked that. Okay, and you want to measure a CG, you can put it on your fingertips, put it on a CG machine, and I like to put my fingertips there, and well, maybe just a little further back, more like maybe 100 with the landing gear up. Let's do the landing gear down. Now you can see that. Put my fingers back on those marks. Okay. And she's still a little tail heavy. Maybe more like 110 back. But that's where she seems to. So find your. Well, actually, I am pretty well on there, aren't I? Okay, so about 95 to 100 millimeters back, and she seems to balance just fine right there. Okay, so about, the book says 95, 90, 95. With a 3200, I found that 100 millimeters back seems to be better. Now let's look at your radio setup. At this point, you've got your radio mounted, you cleaned up your wiring, okay? And what you would have done is you would have gone into your receiver, set up a new model before you bound it. You would have picked, on wing type, you would have picked one aileron, one flap, given the, if you got this model, this isn't your first model, okay? If you're getting this one, this should not be your first one. This is a third or a fourth. But anyways, you would have named it, you would have picked one aileron, one flap, okay, and you would have set your throttle cut already, which my throttle cut for me is on H. So that is on. I'm away from the prop. And it's off now. See, there's my throttle. Ain't nothing happening. Okay, now, you've named your model. Now you're going to bind it. Just these Limit RX have a bind button on them, just like the Spectrum ones do. Or you can use a switch. You know, have it all set up. Power the aircraft, put in your battery, hit the bind button, it has a B on it. When it starts flashing, bind it to your receiver. You should already know how to do this. I have other videos on how to bind airplanes, but all you're going to do is just go into the menu. Once it's flashing, hit bind, and bind function list, go to bind, hit bind, and it binds. You know, say bind complete. All right. Your next step at this point, now that you're bound and you've got communication, you're going to make sure that everything on the model, that all the control surfaces are in the right direction. Okay? Look at that right aileron. Goes up, elevator's up, elevator's down, left aileron, right rudder, left rudder. Now, in the instance that you found that they weren't right, you go down in your main menu, function list, you go to servo setup, okay? You hit travel, you go past travel, past subtrim, and then you'd hit reverse, and then find, let's just say that the elevator was backwards, okay? You click it, and this is what it would look like. If I pull down, pull up elevator, oh look, it goes down. And now I push up elevator. In other words, I would want, or down elevator, I want the plane divide and to dive. Instead, it's going to go up. So, see where it's on the elevator there? Right there? You want to reverse that by clicking, highlight and clicking on your roller. And now look at my elevator. When I pull up elevator, the elevator goes up. When I'm going to go down elevator, it now goes down. Okay. Now, with the model unplugged, and you go to set it up, this is how you're going to set up the gyro. Okay, you're going to go to system setup, and this is, you know, you just say your battery's not plugged in or whatever. Okay, you're going to go down here to channel assign, and what you want to look for, you're going to go to that 7th channel, because like I said, if you want to use all 3 parts of that reflex system, you're going to have to go to 7th channel. So look at here, my 7th channel says aux2. I picked B, so you would change that to whatever switch you want. I picked B. Then you go to the next screen and ensure that your 7th channel is actually assigned as aux2. So aux2 is aux2. And we already know that it's on B. It goes back to it. Yeah, so aux2 is B. So that tells me that aux2 is going to, in other words, the 7th channel is going to work on my B switch. Okay, back out of there, back to the model. So let's verify this. And just, okay, so what I would do, if I want to verify and make sure it's going to work, I'm going to unplug the model. Okay. Model's dead. Model has no power. I'm going to plug the model in. I already know my throttle cut's on. I know my prop's not going to work right now. Looking for the dance. Cycle. Cycle. All right. Now I know that that gyro is working. Okay? The way they had this set up, if you put on a 3-position switch, 0 position, in other words, away from you, on the Spectrum, that's 0 position, is their version of self-level. Okay? Watch the ailerons. See how that aileron is moving up on its own? Ailerons are moving up on their own. Okay. Watch the elevator. I'll turn it to the side, you can see it better. Look at that elevator. See how it's going up? Watch it as it goes level. Okay, as the plane goes level, it now levels. Okay, back again. That elevator is going up. And then it goes back to level. All right. Now, let's put the plane in their version of optimized, which is the same thing as AS3X. Now, here are the gyros. Now, if I want to know the gyro is working correctly, I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to put it on the elevator. The direction that I move the body of the plane, that control surface should move against my hand. So if I pull up, I should feel that elevator push against my hand. I put my hand on the rudder, I go this way, that rudder should turn against the movement. Okay, I'll put my fingers on the elevator. That should turn against my fingers, and it does. In other words, if a gyro is working correctly, and say wind hits here, hits this wing making it go down, all right, then that aileron should push down a little bit to level that plane up. Wind hits from the side, pushing the rudder or the tail that way, that rudder will turn towards that direction, which would straighten the plane. And that's how a gyro works. Now, it's not immediate and perfect, but it's pretty darn good. It'll make this light plane fly like a 15, 20 pound plane. All right. Now, the thing with the self-level or stability is you get into an attitude, let go of the 6, it's going to bring the plane back to level. You accidentally find yourself upside down, it's going to self-right and bring the plane back to flying straight and level. Okay? Now, if I turn the gyro off, which is the middle position, there's nothing. So I still have full control, you know, and everything, but there's no gyro to help me at all. So the 3 modes, put on the B switch on, or any 3 position switch that you pick, is away from you, the way they have it by default, you can't change it, away from you, or position 0 on the spectrum, is 3S, is A3X or stable, or optimized mode, which is their AS3X. The middle position is going to be no gyro at all. And then the position closest to you, or position 2, because you got 0, 1, and 2, is going to be their version of safe. Their version, their stability. Their version of self-level. Okay? Oh wait, dang it, I am so sorry, I told you wrong. It's just the opposite. The position 0 is safe. Okay? Remember, I told you wrong. Position 0 is safe. Self-level, stability. Okay? Middle, no gyro. Position 2, or closest to you, is the AS3X gyro or optimized mode. Okay, I got it backwards. Okay, say it again. Position 0, furthest away, safe. Middle, no gyro, closest to you, optimized or AS3X. Now, I told you, before I gone over the CG, I've told you how to set up your gyro now. Okay, your model's live. Now let's go to Expo. Now rates. I put my actually I got triple rates. Triple rates, not from triple rates. I put them on my G switch. I assigned to my G. Let me show you how you do that. This is how you put rates in. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to go to DR and Expo. You're going to go all the way down here, and you're going to pick whichever switch you want to use. Go back and forth with your roller. Okay? I like using G. Okay? There's G. All right. Now, what I do, I like my switch to go all the way down as far away or as low as possible, because my transmitter is like this low, to make my low rates. And what you do is you notice your switch is in 0. Large, farthest away. It should look right here. Little diagram. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to focus on it or not. But this switch farthest away is 0. Okay, so that's my low rates. And that's going to be the very first little box there. Okay, that's my low rates. And I just go up there at this point and I roll that back and forth. I like my low rates to be 70%. Okay, with my expo being 30. Then I'm going to pull the switch to the middle position. Okay, notice how it changed there. It's in the middle, right here, or in position 1. I got my middle rates is 85. Okay, and then my high rate. Notice how that changed. This position 2. Position 2. It's all the way down, or my high rates, because the way I hold my transmitter like this, it's up towards me, it's highest. So that's how I call it the high rate. And I got that at 100% over 30% expo. And you just highlight it and move it back and forth, whichever way you want it for my high rate. And I did that on aileron. I did that on elevator. And I didn't do it on rudder because I found that the plane doesn't seem to have as much rudder authority for the wheel. I wish I could put them in separate channels, but I didn't. For my rudder, I actually increased that to 125% and look at that rudder. It gives me a lot of, I like a lot of rudder, but that's my preference. You can do that any way you want to. On my, let's go back from rudder, go back to highlight it. Let's go back to aileron. Okay, that's my 100% on my aileron. Look at my ailerons. That's 100%. Okay, this is 100% elevator. Okay, here's my mid, 85% on my ailerons, 85% on my elevator. This is my rudder, or this is my this is high rates. Look at my ailerons. That's 100% elevator, 125% rudder. Pretty much kept my rudder the same way throughout the entire spectrum. I like a lot of rudder. I like a lot of rudder. All right, now already got my throttle cut set to H. I left it at negative 100% because it stopped the model, stopped it just fine. Now I wanted to barrel, I don't want the plane to fly off the immediate throttle response. Motor's back off. All right, now flaps are up, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. My flap settings are set to channel D. Let me show you now on the Spectrum radio how that looks. Go down to flap system. Okay. Position 0, in other words, flaps up. See the flaps? Is negative 100%. Okay. Takeoff flaps, which is the middle position. See it switched? Look at that. That's what it looks like. And then this is landing flaps. And they're down, and that is a positive 100%. I have not put in, I'm still not an expert on flight mode yet, so I have not worked in a elevator to flap mix. I'll do that at the field. More than likely, I'll probably put in like 10% down elevator for takeoff, and then probably 15 to 20% down elevator for landing flaps. But that I'll figure that out at the field. And I know with flight mode, you're actually able to do it on the fly by positioning some trims, then it locks it in. But I don't know enough about that yet. I need to do more practice with it before I try to show you how to do it. So I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Take her up, see what works, and remember it. Okay, so we've covered flaps. We've covered if your directions are out of, on your controls are out of, are not correct. How to assign the gyro to a switch, how to set that up. Throttle cup is on H, is where I like to put it. You can put, some people like to have it on F, some people like it on H. I like it on H. That's just me. Okay? I've shown you what I've done for rates in Expo. I chose 3 rates. The book will give you percentages. Or, I mean, will give you, will give you fractions You know what? I don't remember now. Is it percent? I think it gives you a high and a low. And it doesn't give you, like Spectrum or E-Flight will give you, 70% for lows and 100% for high. Whereas this gives you millimeters in measurement. And in the book, high rates on your elevator are 16 millimeter up and down. Aileron 14 millimeter up and down. That's how far it travels. And then 22 millimeters on the rudder. They favor the rudder. I agree. Low rates are 12 millimeter elevator, 10 millimeter aileron, and 16 millimeter rudder. That's how the variance between the two. If you wanted to figure that out, you would need a throw gauge. And I seem to have had mine somewhere. But you can get them all over the internet. It clamps to both sides. It has a little gauge there, and you can see your control surface move back and forth and lock it in when you get to the right settings. Me, I like using, here it is. Okay, clamp it on, like here's the rudder, right? You clamp it on there, and then you would move the rudder back and forth, looking on how the millimeters, and then you would just keep rolling your roller to lock in where that would be. I'm still, I can do it by the book and do it right. I still like to fly it and see how it feels first. That's just me. Y'all do what you want. You can get a control meter or a movement gauge and do that if you want to. I like to fly the plane and see how it feels. Over time, and you get to know how low wings, high wings, biplanes, how they react, you can pretty well figure out how you're going to want your rates to be. Usually, the faster the plane, the less movement you want with a control surface. The slower the plane, the more movement you want with a control surface. It just depends on what you want the plane to do. Okay, have we missed? Be careful. I did find that sometimes this door for the nose gear gets hung up. Okay. So just let you know, that's just held in there. I mean, it's just a little spring that pulls it in. It's pretty simple to fit. Sometimes I guess it goes back in so quickly that this edge of this door gets hung on this side of the wheel. But you got to remember, when it's flying, unless you're putting your gear while you're upside down, when it's flying, it's a lot less likely for that to happen. Now, for me, using a receiver that has a long antenna, you want to have them 90 degrees from each other. With all the wiring and everything that's right up front here, and the way my wires of my antenna and my receiver went straight this way, I really felt better having one going straight down the fuselage here where there's really nothing in this area, and then I want to have one going straight out, because you want your antenna to be 90 degrees from each other. That optimizes your receiver reception there. All right, so I'm sure I'm leaving something out. I will remember it, hopefully on the way to the field. But that will be the next video. See, look at there. My door is come undone. Okay, this door is a very simple fix. It just pops down on either end. You'll see a little nipple there that just sits in there. Okay, and then just pressure fits in there. It's not hard at all to figure it out. You'll see it. I'll fix it off camera. It's a real simple fix. It's no big deal. All right. Well, my next video will be, we'll go out to the field and we'll fly this thing and see how we like it. I can't think of anything else. Like I say, I've already shown you the CG. We've gone over the radio setup. We've gone over making sure your control surface is right. Throttle cut. Can't think of anything else. So like I say, most of these videos are kind of by the seat of my pants. But there again, you know, you're at the house and you're putting this stuff together, and you know, just the way it is. Manual's pretty right. I do think the CG needs to be a little further back to get that battery placement. But there again, if you find that it's too nose heavy, too tail heavy, move your battery back and forth. You've got room to move that battery back and forth to get that CG just right to where she's flying nice and level. Because you got to remember the thing about CG. CG is everything. It is. It's everything. You can get a brick to fly if you can get the CG right. Okay? A nose heavy plane will fly poorly. Okay? But it's good for the wind and training. Okay? A tail heavy plane will fly once. Okay? So you want that CG to be to where that plane basically levels just about perfect. On your first flights, me personally, and I recommend slightly nose heavy. Slightly, very slightly on a plane like this. For a jet, I recommend level to slightly tail heavy. But for the most part, if you get perfectly level, you'll be fine. Folks, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget faith, family, and friends, and then wonderful planes. And a big shout out once again to HOBBYZONE for sending me out this Pilatus PC-21 for a review. Thank you so much. God bless y'all. Bye-bye. Now I have to turn this off here. Bye.